The days leading up to the coronation and wedding were a whirlwind of ceremonial practices, social expectations, and the heavy burden of royal responsibilities. For Alex, it felt like he was suffocating under the gilded weight of it all. Yet, through the chaos, his heart ached with longing, as his fleeting moments with Lian became his only solace. Alex's mother, Queen Camilla, watched her son from the shadows of the grand hallway as he excused himself early from yet another etiquette rehearsal. She had noticed the way he'd been distracted lately, the distant looks, the secret smiles, and her suspicions grew stronger every time his eyes darted toward the direction of Lian's chambers. She decided it was time to act. She found Lian reading in the quiet refuge of the palace library. Lian stood quickly when she entered, startled by the silent elegance of her presence. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing respectfully. She gave him a long, scrutinizing look before walking closer, her regal demeanor unyielding. "You've been spending a great deal of time with my son," she began, her tone calm but edged with an unmistakable gravity. Lian hesitated, unsure how to explain himself. "Alex and we're friends." Camilla's lips twitched into something resembling a smile, but her eyes remained cold. "Friends?" she echoed, letting the word linger. "Perhaps you mean well, but your presence is complicating things." Lian stiffened. "I don't understand, Your Majesty." "You've captured his attention in a way no one else has," she said, her voice softening for a moment. "And that terrifies me because my son is at a crossroads where he cannot afford to be distracted." Lian frowned, guilt already gnawing at him. "I would never want to distract Alex from his duties." Camilla stepped closer, her voice lowering. "Then prove it. If you care for him, you'll leave. Don't make him choose between you and his family. He doesn't have the luxury of following his heart, not when his responsibilities demand his soul." The words hit Lian like a cold wave, leaving him standing frozen as she turned and swept out of the room. That night, Lian stood at the window of his room, staring out to the sprawling gardens. He clutched a small suitcase in his hand, his heart shattering with every breath he took. Elena knocked once and pushed the door open without waiting for permission, a habit that usually annoyed him but now felt like comfort. "What are you doing? Shouldn't you be sleeping? Tomorrow's another big—" She trailed off when she saw the packed bag by his feet. "What are you doing?" Elena asked again, this time with sharp suspicion. Lian forced a tight smile. "Just leaving things in order." "Don't lie to me, Zhang," Elena snapped, stepping closer. "Why do you look like you're about to say goodbye?" Lian turned to her, his expression heartbreaking in its quiet resignation. "Elena, Alex has a duty. I can't be the reason he's torn apart." Her jaw dropped. "What are you saying? Did someone say something to you? Did he say something?" Lian cut her off, his voice trembling. "His mother came to me, and she's right. He's the crown prince, Elena. He doesn't belong to me. He belongs to his people." Elena's eyes blazed. "And you're just going to leave, without even fighting for him?" "I'm fighting for him by leaving," Lian said quietly. "He doesn't need to choose, not between me and everything else." Her hands balled into fists at her sides, and tears welled up in her eyes. "You're a fool, Lian. A stupid, selfless fool." He reached out and squeezed her shoulder. "Take care of him, Elena. That's all I ask." And with that, he grabbed his bag and walked out, leaving her standing in the center of the room with tears streaming down her face. When Elena realized the next morning that Lian was truly gone, she burst into Alex's chambers without hesitation. Alex, who had just finished dressing for another round of pre-coronation preparations, turned to her in surprise. "Elena, what's wrong?" She scanned the room quickly, her heart sinking further when she realized Alex had no idea. "Lian, he's gone," Elena said breathlessly. Alex froze, his brow furrowing. "What do you mean, gone?" "Gone as in packed his things and disappeared overnight," she replied, her tone sharp with frustration and worry. "I tried calling him, but he isn't answering. Matt and I have been searching everywhere." The room seemed to tilt beneath Alex's feet as panic clawed at his chest. His mind raced back to the strained look on Lian's face the last time they'd spoken, and the heavy tension in his mother's eyes when they had dinner. "I'll find him," Alex said firmly, grabbing his coat. "You'd better," Elena said, her voice breaking, "because if you lose him, you'll only have yourself to blame." Hours passed as Alex scoured every corner of the palace and beyond, but it wasn't until a quiet moment in the gardens that he finally stopped to breathe. The memories flooded back unbidden, Lian's laughter ringing through the hallways, the warmth of his smile, the way he looked at Alex with unwavering faith. And then, in the silence, the full weight of what he'd lost hit him. "He's gone," Alex whispered to himself, his voice breaking. He felt a lump in his throat as he clutched the rose still tucked into his coat pocket from days ago, now dried and fragile. When Matt and Elena finally found him, sitting silently by the fountain, his hollow expression said everything they needed to know. "He's not just gone," Alex said softly. "I think I drove him away." "You didn't drive him anywhere," Elena snapped, sitting beside him. "But you can still fix this. Find him, Alex, before it's too late." "I don't even know where to start," Alex admitted, his head in his hands. Elena shot him a determined look. "Then we'll start together. But if you care about him as much as you seem to, you'll fight like hell to get him back." For the first time all day, a flicker of hope ignited in Alex's eyes. "I will," he vowed. "No matter what it takes, I'll bring him back." The palace buzzed with anticipation. The royal gala that night was not just a celebratory prelude to Alex's coronation, but also the stage where his engagement to Kira would be officially announced to the nobility. Chandeliers sparkled with unmatched brilliance, musicians rehearsed delicate notes, and banquet tables gleamed with gold-edged dinnerware. Yet, amidst this carefully curated perfection, a storm brewed in Alex's chest. As Alex dressed for the gala, Matt stormed into his room, his expression more serious than usual. Alex barely glanced up. "You've got a nerve," Matt began, his voice sharp. Alex frowned, turning to face his cousin. "What are you on about?" "It's not enough that you've been brooding over Lian every moment of the day. Now I find out that Aunt Camilla pushed him away?" Those words stopped Alex cold. "What?" Matt crossed his arms. "Yeah, your charming mother made it perfectly clear to Lian that if he cared about you, he had to leave. And guess what? He listened, because he does care. Unlike some people, apparently." The truth hit Alex like a blow to the chest. He tried to process it, Lian leaving, his mother's interference, but everything tangled into a dizzying realization. His love for Lian, his duty to his family, and the weight of years of silence. He clenched his fists, his tone low and trembling. "Where is she?" Queen Camilla was in the grand hall, overseeing the final touches to the night's elaborate preparations, when Alex marched in. The click of his polished shoes on the marble floor echoed like the approach of a storm. "Mother," Alex said, his voice firm, "a word." She turned, surprised at the anger simmering in his tone. "Is something wrong, Alexander?" "Did you speak to Lian?" he asked, cutting straight to the point. Camilla's expression gave away her guilt. "I spoke to him for your sake, and his," she said carefully. "You told him to leave," Alex accused, stepping closer, "because you think my happiness isn't as important as the crown." Camilla's calm facade wavered. "Alexander, listen to me. You've spent your life preparing for this. A life that doesn't belong to just you, but to this country. This isn't about one person." "It's not just one person," Alex interrupted, his voice rising. "It's the person I love, the only person who's made me feel alive, seen, and human." Her eyes narrowed. "And what would happen if you chose him? Chaos, scandal, division. You think you're ready to live with the consequences?" "I'm ready to live," Alex snapped. "I'm done sacrificing my heart for a duty that's meant to preserve, not destroy me." For a moment, Camilla didn't respond. She simply studied him, and in his defiance saw the man he'd become, strong, passionate, unwilling to bow to tradition for the sake of hollow perfection. "If you do this," she said finally, "you might lose everything." Alex straightened. If I don't do this, I'll lose myself. And I won't let that happen, Mother. The grand ballroom shimmered with opulence, a sea of royal blue and gold, as lords and dignitaries mingled under the watchful eyes of crystal chandeliers. All eyes turned to Alex as he entered with Kira, who smiled dazzlingly at his side, unaware of the war raging within him. Alex moved with practiced grace through the evening, but his mind was elsewhere, on Lian's absence, his mother's manipulation, and his rapidly crumbling facade. When the orchestra shifted to a soft waltz and Kira extended her hand, Alex hesitated before taking it. They danced gracefully, their movements catching the attention of the crowd. "You're distracted," Kira whispered, leaning close for appearances. Alex smiled thinly. "You have no idea." The song ended, and the palace chamberlain called for silence. It was time for the engagement announcement. Kira's face lit up with barely contained triumph as Alex stepped forward to address the room. "Ladies and gentlemen," Alex began, his voice calm and steady despite the turmoil within, "I'd like to thank you all for being here tonight as we celebrate a momentous occasion for this family and this nation." Polite applause filled the room. His gaze flickered briefly to his mother, who stood near the dais, her expression unreadable. "But before we continue," Alex said, his voice hardening, "I have something to clarify. This evening is meant to mark the beginning of my engagement to Kira Adams." He turned to Kira, whose smile faltered at the odd emphasis in his tone. "Kira, you've been a close family friend and ally," Alex continued, "but I cannot, no, I will not proceed with this arrangement." A ripple of gasps spread through the crowd, followed by hushed murmurs. Kyra's face paled. "Alex, what are you doing?" she whispered urgently. He turned to her, regret in his eyes, but no hesitation in his resolve. "I'm sorry, Kyra, but I can't marry someone I don't love." The murmurs grew louder. Queen Camilla's expression turned to stone, but Alex ignored her, addressing the crowd once more. "For years I've done what was expected of me," Alex said, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. "I've lived according to tradition, putting my duty above my own happiness. But tonight, that ends. I've realized that the strength to lead doesn't come from following outdated expectations. It comes from being true to yourself." Someone in the crowd whispered, "He's rejecting her? Publicly?" Kira's carefully constructed composure cracked. "You can't do this to me," she hissed, clutching his arm. "Do you know what this will do to your image?" Alex gently pried her hand away. "I know exactly what it will do, and I don't care. I can't live a lie, Kira. I'm sorry." After the announcement, chaos erupted. Reporters shouted questions, nobles murmured about the scandal, and palace aides scrambled to restore order. Queen Camilla pulled Alex aside, her fury barely contained. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" she demanded. "Yes," Alex said, his gaze unwavering. "I've finally chosen my happiness over this ridiculous charade." "And this happiness? Does it even exist anymore? He's gone," Camilla shot back. Alex's breath hitched, but he stood tall. "Then I'll bring him back, no matter what." Camilla glared at him for a long moment before sighing. "If this is what you want, Alexander, you'd better be prepared to face the consequences." He met her gaze with quiet determination. "For him, I'll face anything." The journey to find Lian was far from easy. Armed with only the name of Lian's childhood hometown, Alex traveled across unfamiliar landscapes, his heart heavy with fear that he was already too late. Each stop along the way was met with polite shrugs or unhelpful answers. Frustration mounted, but Alex was relentless. "I'm not giving up," he told his driver as they traveled down yet another winding road, "no matter how long it takes." When Alex finally reached a small cafe tucked away in the outskirts of a serene, quiet town, he caught a glimpse of someone familiar behind the counter. Lian was there, his sleeves rolled up, wearing an apron, seemingly a part of a life far removed from the one they'd shared at Eastwood. Alex's heart ached at the sight, but it also surged with relief. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The bell above the door jingled softly, and Lian turned only to freeze when he saw Alex. "What are you doing here?" Lian asked, his voice sharp, but his eyes betrayed a glimmer of longing. Alex approached slowly, his expression earnest. "I came to find you." "You shouldn't be here," Lian said, setting down the cup he'd been wiping. "You have a crown to wear, a wedding to attend." "There won't be a wedding," Alex replied firmly. Lian stared at him, disbelief etched across his face. "What are you talking about?" Alex moved closer until they were standing just feet apart. "I called off the engagement. I told everyone, the entire court, my mother, the world, that I can't marry someone I don't love. I can't keep pretending, Lian." Lian's breath hitched, but he tried to mask the pain with indifference. "And what does that have to do with me?" "It has everything to do with you," Alex said, his voice filled with emotion. "Because you're the one I love, Lian. I don't care about tradition or expectations anymore. I only care about being with you." Lian shook his head, stepping back. "You can't just leave everything behind for me, Alex. That's not how the world works." Alex closed the distance between them, his eyes locking with Lian's. "You once told me I was afraid to choose my own path. You were right, but I'm not afraid anymore. I'll fight for us, Lian, even if it means fighting the whole world." Tears welled up in Lian's eyes, but he still hesitated. "You're a crown prince. You have responsibilities, expectations." "And none of them matter if I lose you," Alex interrupted, his voice trembling. "Please, don't make me live without you." Lian looked at him for a long moment, as if trying to find any trace of doubt or insincerity. When he found none, the wall he had built around his heart crumbled. "You're an idiot, Alex," Lian murmured, a tear slipping down his cheek. "Maybe," Alex admitted with a soft smile, "but I'm your idiot." Lian let out a watery laugh as Alex pulled him into a tight embrace, their foreheads touching. "I missed you," Alex whispered. "I missed you too," Lian replied, his voice barely audible. Their return to the de Laurent palace was nothing short of dramatic. Alex strode into the grand hall, hand in hand with Lian, silencing the murmuring crowd that had gathered after news of the cancelled engagement. Queen Camilla rose from her seat, her expression a mixture of shock and disapproval. "Alexander," she began, her voice icy, "what is the meaning of this?" Alex took a deep breath and addressed the room with unwavering resolve. "I've called you all here today to announce my intentions. I will not marry Kira, as the engagement was arranged without my consent. Instead, I have chosen the person I love, Lian Zhang." Gasps erupted, and Kira, who was standing to the side, looked mortified. "You're ruining everything," she snapped. Alex glanced at her briefly, his expression unapologetic. "The only thing I was ruining was my chance at true happiness." Turning back to the crowd, Alex continued, "I understand that this decision may upset some of you, but as your future king, I will not begin my reign by living a lie. I will lead with honesty, and I will not sacrifice my happiness for outdated traditions." Queen Camilla's gaze softened slightly, though she still appeared conflicted. Finally, she spoke. "If this is what you truly want, Alexander, then so be it. But understand that this will not be easy." "I'm ready for it," Alex replied, squeezing Lian's hand. The palace, once a place of doubt and heartbreak, became the site of a celebration unlike any other. Alex and Lian's wedding was a fusion of tradition and modernity, reflecting their love and the courage it took to defy societal norms. The grand hall was adorned with flowers in shades of white and gold, the chandeliers casting a warm glow over the sea of smiling faces. Alex stood at the altar, resplendent in his royal attire, but his gaze was fixed only on Lian, who walked down the aisle with Elena by his side. Lian's breath caught as their eyes met. "You look beautiful," Alex whispered when Lian finally stood before him. "And you look like a prince," Lian teased, though his voice wavered with emotion. The ceremony was intimate, yet regal, every vow spoken, resonating with the weight of their journey. "I never thought I'd find someone who sees me for who I truly am," Alex said, his voice breaking slightly. But you, Lian, taught me what it means to truly live. I promise to stand by you. Always." Tears glistened in Lian's eyes as he replied, "You've shown me that love is worth fighting for, even against impossible odds. I promise to stand by you too, Alex, no matter what." When the officiant declared them united, Alex cupped Lian's face and kissed him deeply, earning cheers and applause from the crowd. Later, as they danced under the stars during the reception, Lian leaned into Alex's chest. "Are you ready for a lifetime of dealing with palace drama?" Lian teased. Alex chuckled, resting his chin on Lian's head. "As long as you're by my side, I can handle anything." Looking into Alex's eyes, Lian smiled. "Then let's take on the world together, Your Highness." "Don't call me that," Alex said, pulling Lian closer. "Just Alex. You're Alex." And as the music swirled around them, they knew that they were finally home, in each other's arms, ready to face the future together.